All right, we start out having to know the formula for slope. Remember, it's y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. The y's go up the top, and you're subtracting. The thing that's different about the midpoint formula, in slope formula and distance formula, both, you subtract. But the thing that's different about midpoint is you add. So to find the value of your midpoint, you add your x's. You add your x's and divide by 2. Add your y's and divide by 2. Again, in just a second, and we work problems later, you're going to see the problems that I gave you on that sheet right there. The 4 problems are the ones that I told you on the test that I consider the difficult problems. Not that the other ones are easy, but these are more difficult. And the reason they're more difficult is I give you the midpoint and ask you to find one of the missing values. I give you the slope and ask you to find one of the missing, or I give you the distance. So you're used to the distance being, I give you both x's and both y's, but I'm going to do it the other way today. If you look at x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared, if you looked at the review last night and you worked down through those problems, you noticed real quick about the one that had the distance on it. It gave you the distance. It went ahead and gave you this distance, so you had to square some things. Okay, so we need to talk about that. USA test prep question of the day. Guys, the biggest thing that I could get you to understand about these USA test prep questions is that the situation works. That when you have a figure, your first figure, your second figure, or your third figure, you plug in 1, 2, or 3 into these equations over here, it works. Which one of those formulas, A, B, C, or D, gives me 3, 4, and 5 when I plug in 1, 2, and 3? What is it? A, B, C, or D? Okay, B. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. B doesn't give me that. That doesn't work. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. It can't be B. If I plug in a 1, 4 times 1 is 4 minus 3 is 1. It can't be this one. Can't be C either. Guys, again, it works. The formula works. If you plug in a 1 for the first figure, you should get 3 sides for the triangle. So I come over here and I just change this. I do substitution 3 times. As you may need to write it down. You may need to write down 1 plus 2, 2 plus 2, 3 plus 2. And notice that gives me 3, 4, 5. So the answer is A. A is the answer to that one. With your name on it? Do you see his paper? Do y'all see one of those that says Mark on it? That's it. All right. Guys, again, I want to make sure you understand what it is I'm showing you today. I made this up with in mind that these are the problems on your test that I think can create some problems for you. First thing is because notice it's not the 2 endpoints. If I gave you 2 endpoints, you just straight follow the formula, add your x's divided by 2, add your y's divided by 2. But this one is an endpoint and a midpoint. -6 is the midpoint. So -6 is equal to x plus 10 over 2. And that's how you find the missing x. The missing y. Y is -1, so I come up here and I say, there's my y value of my midpoint. Okay? And you got to understand, guys, I can ask you the question either way. Number 2 on the test may be like this, and then right after it, number 3 says, here's the endpoints. So what you've got to be able to do is, you've got to be able to pick out what of these 3 numbers you're given, because which of the 3 numbers do you, or which of those 3 numbers do you have to be given? Any 2, that's right. Any 2. Whoever said 2, it's any 2. You guys are used to seeing it being x1 plus x2. In this particular problem right here, when you're calculating the y's, it's the y midpoint is equal to y1 plus y2 over 2. So when I give you one of the y's, you still have a variable stuck in there. Go. Solve the rest of that problem. The formula for area of a circle is x minus h plus y minus k equals r squared. So if I want to write the equation of this circle, I do x, talk to me, plus 10 squared plus y minus 14 squared equals r squared. Now look, again, guys, again, standard form, this is the same exact concept. The standard form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Look at this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 variables there. In this problem, I give you 4 of the other ones. So the first thing that you have to do, is set and write your equation based on the center, and then take -6 and plug it in. Take 14 and plug it in. And you see what the values that you get are. And that value is r squared. It's kind of the reverse of what we did yesterday. Remember yesterday what I did is I gave you an equation and I asked you, was this point inside the circle? When was it inside? When was the point inside the circle yesterday?
When it's
less than. When it's less than r squared. Or it was on the circle. When is it on the circle?
When it's equal to.
When it's equal to, like in this problem, it'll be equal to whatever. Or it's outside the circle when it's greater than. And guys, you just take the numbers and plug them in. I take -6 and plug it in here for x. -6 plus 10? 4. 14 minus 14 is 0. So r squared is 16. So if I want to write the equation of a circle that has a center of -14 or -10, 14 and goes through this point, it's equal to this point right here. Then you just write the opposite of h. You write the opposite of k. And then you write r squared, what it's equal to. And then several times on the test, it asks you to plug in right here. Did y'all get an answer up here for the top one? What's the first thing you do here? Number 1. First thing you got to do is multiply both sides by 2. So x plus 10 equals -12. So x equals -22. Y plus 1 equals, help me,
Multiply by 2.
-2. So y equals -3. So my answer, my other midpoint here is -22, -3. Now, here's the part I want you to see. Guys, here's the part I want you to see. I want you to know, guys, this problem, 10 plus negative 22, negative 12. What's negative 12 divided by 2? Look, what's your midpoint here? 1 plus negative 3, negative 2 divided by 2, negative 1. Guys, again, it works. The formula does what it's supposed to do. But it only does what it's supposed to do if you plug the numbers into the right place. And the first thing you need to do is make sure you start out with the distance formula correctly. So I start out, I'm going to be quiet here for a second and let you try to work these two. I start out with x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. And then I substitute into this equation where I need the numbers. Okay? I take that square root of 82 and I put it right here where D is. I take 6 and put it where x1 or where x2 is. I take x and put it in for one of, I take 5 and plug it in. I take 6 and plug it in for the y it goes for. The 5 and 6 on my y. Look, guys, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables here. You take these 5 variables and plug them into the appropriate place in this formula and work it out. You do the same thing. You do the same thing down here with slope. You do m equals y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Look, 5 variables. M, y1, y2, x1, x2. That's 5 different variables. Of those 5 different variables, I have to give you 4 of them. Which 4? Any 4. That's what I'm trying to teach you. If you've learned nothing else today, understand, guys, when you have a formula, be it this for area equals 1/2 base times height, or a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2, or area equals side squared, or area equals length times width, or even in some of your other classes when you have formulas. Guys, you don't have to be given the 2 on the right side. You can be given any of the 2. Or excuse me, 3. Area equals 1/2. That's 3 variables. And I give you any of those and you find the other ones. Go. I'm going to pause this right here so you have time to work it. All right, so here's where we are. We had the distance formula. We plugged these points into the distance formula. Now it's a matter of having to get rid of a square root. I haven't said this on video yet, but I want to make sure that I get it on there. I've got to get rid of a square root. How do you get rid of a square root? Square something. So when I square something, notice what happens here. The square root of 82 squared gives me 82. And then when I square this side, the radical sign goes away. So the radical sign goes away and leaves me with x minus 6 squared plus 1. Again, where did I get 1 from? What's 6 minus 5? Squared. So now I have to solve this equation right here. To solve this equation right here means I have to subtract 1, and that gives me 81 equals x minus 6 squared. Okay? If 81 equals x minus 6 squared, I now have to get rid of a square root sign. When you, as the mathematician, add the square root sign, you also have to know, guys, you just got to know to do this. You've got to understand there are 2 things that you can square that will give me 81. X minus 6 will either be equal to 9, or x minus 6 will be equal to negative 9. Now watch, you get two entirely different answers based on whether it's x minus 6 equals 9, because then x equals 15, or x minus 6 equals negative 9, because now when you add 6, negative 9 plus 6 is 3. Okay. About 2 or 3 days ago, guys, I showed you an example up here, and I was trying to get you to see why a circle wasn't a function. Okay, because there are two values, an x or a y, for that matter, can give you. There are two places where x goes with different y's. So if x can be two things, that will give me one answer to the y back. No good. Okay, that's not, it can't be a function that way. So 15, watch this, 15 minus 6 gives me gives me positive 9. Positive 9 squared is 81. 81 plus 1 is 82, and when you take the square root of it, that's where you get the r squared from. If I put a 3 in right there, watch. If I negative 3, if I put a negative 3 in right there, negative 3 minus 6 is negative 9, watch this, negative 9 squared, positive 81, squared, not square root, negative 9 squared is positive 81, plus 1 more makes 82. So guys, much like first semester, I don't know if you remember this, in first semester we worked absolute value problems. Remember when we worked absolute value problem, we had two solutions? Guys, this is the same concept. It's when you take the square root of both sides, as the mathematician, you have to add plus or minus. Important. All right, down here in the last problem, again, you have a slope. There are 5 variables. You plug in for them. When I cross multiply, negative 1 times x minus 19. When I multiply both sides, equals 2 times 25, or 50. So now I have negative x plus 19 equals 50. So negative x equals 31. If negative x equals 31, what's the answer? Positive x equals negative 31. Can you check it? By taking that 31 and plugging it right here. 31 minus 19. 31 minus 19 is 12. How did I get 31 there? Because it can't be. I've got something wrong somewhere, because 31 minus 19 gives me 12, but 13 minus negative gives me 12 over 25, and that's not half, is it? Do you see a mistake here?
Yeah, I see it.
Where? See, negative x plus 19, 2 times, that's 25, gives me 50. What? 50 minus 19 is 31. Oh, what's 31 plus 19? Here, 31. That's still giving me the same thing. 31 minus 19 is 12. 31 minus 19 is 12. 22. 31 minus 19 is 12. No, it's 12. Over 13 minus negative 25 over, guys, that's not a half. I got something wrong.
Where you get 50 from? Oh, never mind, I got it. Isn't it supposed to be negative 31?
Isn't it supposed to be what?
Negative 31.
Look at there. Negative 31. It's supposed to be negative 31. So when I put a negative 31 right now, watch. 13 minus a negative 12 is 25. Negative 31, like we said, negative 31 minus 19 is negative 50. And so there's my negative 1/2. Again, guys, if I could choose between making you conscientious and talented, I choose conscientious every time. Because right there, I missed this problem, guys. If I don't worry about the fact that I'm not getting the right answer, I would have never known that that negative 31 was supposed to be negative 31 because I kept saying positive 31. Even though, look, even though it's written right here, it's just plain as day, negative 31. I came over here in the problem and wrote positive 31. I knew enough about what was going on. We did